Hey everybody, welcome back to World History. So, we're actually going to be getting into World War II today. We're actually going to start the war. So, in terms of what we have to accomplish today in class, we're going to do 29.1 notes and quiz, and you will have a paper reading assignment on the Maginot Line. You'll also have some time to work on your review guides today. Our learning objectives today are to define appeasement, identify the aggressive steps taken by Hitler, and be able to explain how World War II started. So, go ahead and get your notes out, and let's get started. So, it's important to understand that dictators' actions are met with nothing more than verbal protests and pleas for peace. So, Italy, Germany, and Japan are going to do nothing but view this desire for peace as weakness, and they're just going to be like, we're going to do whatever the hell we want. So, Japan overruns Manchuria and eastern China. The League of Nations then condemns the aggression, but that's it. They don't do anything else about it. Japan leaves the League of Nations. At the same time, Italy invades Ethiopia. So the League enacts sanctions, but again, they have no power to enforce it. So nothing happens. Whee! They just get to keep expanding without any force or check to stop them. Well, Hitler continues to go against the Treaty of Versailles. And I'm going to move my bubbles so you guys can actually see that, and we're going to shrink it. That way you can see the maps and stuff over there in the corner. So Hitler goes against the Treaty of Versailles, mainly because the Germans hate the treaty. They didn't agree with it, they were forced to sign it, and take blame for a war they did not start. Well, one of the things in there was a severe limitation on their military size. They build up their military. They then send their troops into the demilitarized Rhineland, which, if you're looking at the map up in the corner, if I remember correctly, it is this tan-ish bit between France and Germany. That is the Rhineland. Now, as this is going on, the Allies do not want another war. Remember, the Great Depression is still happening at this point. Everyone is struggling, and they're like, we don't want a war. So they're going to utilize a policy of appeasement, giving in to the demands of an aggressor in order to keep the peace. An example of this would be like if you're ever at the grocery store and like your younger sibling is having a full-blown temper tantrum, and your parents give them either the toy they wanted or a candy bar, and they just immediately just stop right then and there because they've gotten what they wanted. That's appeasement. Oh my, gonna have to move my thing yet again. We're gonna try. No, we're not gonna go over there. Yeah, that'll work. So, why appeasement? Well, France couldn't challenge Hitler without Britain. Britain had no desire to confront Germany, and essentially, this allowed Hitler to be like, well, if they aren't going to enforce the treaty, we can do whatever the heck we want. They also saw fascism as a lesser threat than communism. And at this point, a massive pacifism movement or an opposition to all war was extremely common. The U.S. is even going to sign the Neutrality Acts in an attempt to stay out of the war. We're like, we're not getting involved this time. Like, no, we're not getting involved. So we have the Rome, Berlin, Tokyo axis, the Axis powers, this alliance between Italy, Germany, and Japan, that they are claiming they are forming an alliance against Soviet communism and then support to territorial expansion for themselves. It's a trap, people. It's a trap. They're not forming an alliance against communism. That is merely a ruse to distract the Allies. But they're like, oh yeah, they're going to fight communism. That's great. We don't like communism. When in reality, they're planning a massive invasion of Europe and the Pacific. Well, as this is happening, Spain collapses into a civil war. Francisco Franco, a conservative general, will lead a revolt supported by the fascists and nationalists of Germany and Italy against the loyalists in Spain. This is basically everybody else, the communists, the socialists, those that were democratic, being supported by the Soviet Union and everyone else. The Germans are going to use this as an opportunity to test their new planes and carry out an air raid at Guernica, which turns into a massacre, to test their new military technologies that are lethal. Now, this aggression continues. Germany wants all German people in the Third Reich and living space for Germany in Eastern Europe. identifying the Aryan race as superior, basically anyone that was blonde haired and blue eyed, and claiming they have the right to conquer inferior peoples. So in 1938, this is the second aggressive step that Hitler's going to take. He's going to annex Austria. This is known as the Anschluss, the union of Austria and Germany, because, well, a lot of Germans live in Austria. And plus, Hitler's from Austria, so he's like, well, it makes sense for us to take this. This is the second aggressive step. The first aggressive step he took was sending troops into the Rhineland. And here comes the third one, the Czech crisis or the Sudetenland. So if you're looking at this map, it is that, like, I would almost describe it as like a burgundy, like a purple-ish color. This is a region of western Czechoslovakia where about 3 million Germans lived. And they wanted autonomy. It's important to understand at this point in European history, this is 1938, Czechoslovakia is only one of two remaining democracies in Europe. Germany takes the Sudetenland and annexes it. And at this point, everyone's just like, oh no, what have we let happen? So in September of 1938, they have the Munich Conference. Britain and France persuade the Czechs to give the Sudetenland to Germany. And Hitler promises, he's like, I promise I have no further plans to expand. Germany's not going to get any bigger. I promise. He had his fingers crossed behind his back. In March 1939, not even 8 months later, Hitler breaks his promise and takes the rest of Czechoslovakia. At this point, democracies accept the failure of appeasement and promise to protect Poland. Poor Poland. Poland is the only democracy left in Eastern Europe. And it's just sitting there like, help me, please. Because Poland's had it rough. Like, between being invaded by the Russians and being forced into other countries and then just getting their country back in 1919 when the war ended, like, they're like, leave us alone. This is also an important time to point out one of your favorite children's book authors made a ton of political cartoons about the Nazis. Dr. Seuss, actually. If you look at that image in the front, towards the bottom of the slide, that is one of Dr. Seuss's creations. A great way of explaining appeasement. Well, you give it the sucker, give it what it wants. It's going to come back for more. So, eventually, while this is all going on, Hitler's getting buddy-buddy with Stalin. And they sign the Nazi-Soviet Pact that binds Germany and the Soviet Union to peaceful relations. They agree not to fight if the other went to war. And basically, what they're going to do is they're going to divide Poland and Eastern Europe between the two. So on September 1st, 1939, Hitler's going to invade Poland, Britain and France declare war, and World War II has officially started. All right, that is it for today. Again, you're going to go work on the Maginot packet, or at least start it. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye, guys.